The Sekiro anime is happening. It got revealed in Gamescom. Sekiro No Defeat, a Crunchyroll exclusive. And say what you will about the animation, it's got this nostalgic feel to it, and it's got fluid animation, so I think it works rather well, even though I think the game is prettier overall. But this is the first out of a few different adaptations we're getting from Software titles, like the Dark Souls Netflix series, or Alex Garland's Elden Ring movie that is in production. And while all these different series and movies are being worked on, has anyone actually asked whether they should make these projects? And now, before I get any kind of hate or anything like that, let me just say my piece. I love Souls-likes. They're probably my favorite genre ever. I have hundreds of hours in different playthroughs in Dark Souls. I love Bloodborne. I love Elden Ring. I love things outside of just From Software when it comes to like Lies of P. Probably one of the best games to come out in the last 5 years. So I think I've got kind of an idea as to why I think a Souls-like might not fit into a standard adaptation when it comes to a show or a movie. I mean, this Sekiro anime probably has it the best out of all of them because Sekiro is a pretty straightforward story. You've got a character that actually has a backstory, a name, a mission, everything associated with them, which is already an outlier when you're looking at other titles in this genre. The real issue this Sekiro anime is gonna face is when it comes to allegations about AI use, because this is a company that apparently is notorious for boasting about how it's been using AI in its animation processes. So we'll see what happens with that. Although, I am a little bit more on the optimistic side when it comes to this anime, because one of the character designers is actually one of the same ones that worked on Golden Wind. So, I think there is a shot of this actually being redeemed in some sort of capacity. I don't think that it's gonna be just mid all the way through. At the very least, I think the characters are gonna look pretty. But yeah, I think for adapting things like Elden Ring and Dark Souls, it's gonna be quite difficult for those companies to get it right, especially if they're trying to attempt something like a one-to-one adaptation, which at this point, I feel like is impossible. The reason why is because I feel like a Dark Souls or an Elden Ring kind of game doesn't necessarily just like spell out everything that's going on as it's happening. It's the kind of story that you have to pick apart and just really dive into if you want to get the full understanding of what's going on. Because there are plenty of people that have gone through Dark Souls or have gone through Elden Ring without knowing what the hell they're doing. I mean, why do you think there's so many channels out there dedicated to describing the lore of item descriptions? This is the kind of thing that's kind of difficult to explain to someone that's expecting a really rich, story-heavy kind of game. Because you can either play the game as though it is very much filled with lore and tidbits here and there, or you're gonna be just oblivious to the entire thing if you just don't take a second and actually look at these things. It's a different kind of gameplay when it comes into it. And there's also that element of choice. You're not gonna be playing the game like someone else is playing the game. You're both gonna have completely different experiences when it comes to how you approached a boss, when it comes to how you discovered this new area, how you equipped your materials, how you equipped armor, your weapons, everything. These games are also notorious for being pretty esoteric when it comes to story details. I mean, there are things that are never fully explained, like astral beings and stuff, that really come out of left field if you're not paying too close attention. And I would say probably the most important thing of all is I don't think these kinds of projects are gonna be able to actually match the level of intensity something like a boss battle gives you. There's that rush that just completely engulfs you when you see that there's a fog wall that just set itself up behind you. You know that something's about to go down, but you don't know what. And not only that, once you see the boss and then you die because you don't know what the hell you're doing, the process of repeating it over again and again and again and again until you get that rewarding climax of actually defeating that boss. I don't know how a series is going to be able to do that without maybe feeling a little repetitive. And even then, if it does complete it, it's not going to give you that same level of satisfaction because you didn't do it yourself. That's the thing about those kinds of games. There's a level of satisfaction because you actually stuck to the games, because you actually played through them and persevered, because there are countless people out there that gave up on whatever boss they encountered. These are kinds of things that are crucial to Souls-likes being video games. Because let's say this. Once we get to the Netflix adaptation of Dark Souls, something that I, at this point, am not very too optimistic about, they're gonna give the chosen undead, if they go with a one-for-one adaptation, a personality. They're gonna give them a set class, a set choice in terms of what route they're gonna take with the story, and that's gonna be the version that we get. Might not be the version that you chose or anything that you did in the game, but it's gonna be reflective of someone's experience playing Dark Souls. And now with that, there is the chance that it might alienate fans that never played the game in that manner. Or maybe it's just something to where it's a completely different take and tonality when it comes to how they experience the game or how they felt they experienced the game. It's a difficult thing to really pin down. I can't really say. Very few, and since we're talking about video game adaptations, I'm talking slim amounts of series have actually been able to give characters personalities that actually fit with the story overall and make it work so well. Castlevania made Dracula one of the most sympathetic villains I have seen that got me rooting on his side practically the entire time. And it made our crew, all these side characters, so much more fleshed out that it actually worked out so well. The difference between a Castlevania and a Dark Souls, in my opinion, is how simple Castlevania is, how it was. I mean, these characters come from an era of gaming where it was impossible to really give that thorough backstory or that thorough characterization of who you're actually playing as. Meanwhile, the creative decisions on Dark Souls are very much purposeful. It's to give people a feeling that they just stepped into a strange new world that they have to learn to navigate or else they're not going to survive. They're very different kinds of games that are hard to really compare. The hope is what they are potentially doing with something like Alex Garland's Elden Ring, where it's currently assumed by the wide majority of fans that they're not adapting Elden Ring like the mainline story, but instead they're adapting a side story from a character that we have heard of, because based on castings, people are assuming this is a story that's going to be following Vike, a tarnished, much like our player character, who went through a journey that is fully cemented in the story, and how at the end of his journey, he failed, he lost his maiden, and he wasn't able to complete his mission. Taking a story that is already canonized, that's already in the lore, and bringing that to life, that makes much more sense in my opinion than trying to bring one of the player characters' stories and just play that on as an actual series. With this, it gives us a completely unique perspective on the world, not one that's banking on our pre-existing knowledge of it. And instead of conflicting with our experience with the game, it will just sit right beside it. It can be another piece of media that fans can dissect to grab as much enjoyment of this franchise as they can. But things like that are exactly what we're hoping for. We haven't gotten any concrete pieces of information letting us go for one side or the other when it comes to how this is going to be adapted in any way. So we're still up in the air in what kind of story we're going to be getting. But with this, I think that rounds off my thoughts on adaptations for Souls-likes. If you've seen the trailer for Sekiro, let me know. What do you think about that trailer? Do you think it looks good? Do you think it looks bad? Are you scared that the studio might be using things like AI to make it? Please let me know down in the comments section below. And let me know if you're actually looking forward to see like a Dark Souls or Elden Ring live action adaptation. I feel like the track record for video game movies recently has been pretty decent, but that doesn't mean that these movies can come out to be amazing. I mean, I would just keep my reservations on that. But with this, as always, I was Randy, and I'll be seeing y'all next time. Peace.